Hi, my name is Francois and I am a super teacher. In the past week, we received the sad news of at least 18 children who passed away in the motor vehicle accident near Bronkhorstspruit. Allow me to offer my condolences to everybody that has been affected by this tragedy. The whole country has been shaken by the news of this event, and it got me thinking, how prepared are teachers to deal with the death of learners? In this episode, I share some thoughts on how teachers can deal with the loss of a learner. But before we jump into it, just a disclaimer from my side. Remember, I am not an educational psychologist. So any teacher that would need some assistance in this matter, I would urge you to rather seek professional assistance. I'm merely sharing my opinion based on the experience I have. I am merely sharing with you some things that helped me when dealing with this situation. Remember that the idea with this channel is to create a community of teachers, so I would really like to learn from you. Let's start a conversation, because I would like to know whether your school has an action plan to deal with events like this. And then if you have an action plan, please share that action plan in the comment section down below. Remember, you can earn CPTD points for your interaction in the comment section. If you'd like to find out more about this, just click on the link over here to go to the episode where I explain how you can do this. With all that being said, let's educate. So in the past week, after hearing the news of the accident, I reflected on the situation, and there's one thing that I just couldn't get out of my head. On that morning, all of the deceased greeted their parents, and nobody had a clue that those children would never go home. In some cases, there's a family where 3 children perished. I can't even imagine what those parents are going through. Then I started thinking about all of the teachers, the principals, the other learners in the school that have now lost somebody that was really close to them. Because you know, the community in a school is really like a family. We spend so much time together, it's most likely, if you would count the hours, more than what it would be that the children spend at home. So inevitably, there would be an impact on everybody in those schools. As a teacher, it is our job to focus on the future. Just think about it. Every single thing that we do is focused on the future of those children. Every single lesson that you prepare is so that they can exceed in life. I often find myself wondering when I'm standing in front of the classroom, that individual over there, what will they become? What career would they have? Who are they going to marry? Will they have any children? So teaching is a career that's really focused on the future of others. And after an event like this, it really hits home. Because the future of those individuals, those dreams, those hopes, those aspirations ended. One of the disadvantages of being a teacher is that somewhere in your career, there's a likelihood that you would need to deal with the death of a learner. Whether it be due to an accident, an illness, or maybe even an act of crime. But the question that came to me was, are we really prepared to deal with the aftermath of a child losing their life? So for this episode, I thought I would share 5 things to consider when dealing with the death of a learner. And the first one is, look after yourself first. I know it's in the nature of teachers to try and assist others because we would really like to care for other people. But how much good will you actually do if you try and assist somebody while your emotions are still running awry? You simply cannot help others if you are still in distress. So many times we tend to blame ourselves in these instances, and we think that we could have done more to help. Just be kind to yourself. Don't blame yourself for something that you've got absolutely no control over. You need to find an outlet for your emotions. And one thing to remember is that everybody deals with grief in different ways. Death affects every single person in a different way. Some people, when they deal with grief, would like to talk to somebody else and just get it out into the open. Others, again, would maybe like to draw or to write a journal entry or maybe just color in. And many people just like sitting by themselves and dealing with their own thoughts. Find a way that works for you, but definitely don't keep those emotions hidden. You have to deal with it. Accept the fact that you are grieving. The second thing to consider is to not compare your grieving process with other people's grieving process. We all process death and grief in different ways. Don't resent other people for the way in which they deal with death. You might have a severe reaction to it, while somebody else maybe doesn't show how they are grieving and that they are sad. Everybody deals with it in their own way. The best thing we can do is to support each other. If somebody needs assistance, be there for them. So let's now focus on the children in the classroom. Remember, this was one of their friends. Just imagine the emotional trauma walking into a classroom, everybody sitting down, and then the child who passed away, their table and chair is open. That's a constant reminder of the loss that everybody has suffered. And the one thing that I would suggest is letting the children in the class decide how they would like to honor the child that has passed away. Don't be prescriptive. Don't force the children to speak about the events. When they are ready, they will speak about it by themselves. And of course, they would like to honor their friend in many different ways. Don't be prescriptive in how they should honor their friend. Some of them might like to talk about the fond memories they had. Others would maybe like to make a video montage or a slideshow of all the pictures they have. The important thing is to allow everybody to honor their friend in the way in which they prefer to do so. The fourth thing to consider is that grief has got no time limit. It isn't a linear process. It's not that every single day is going to be better than the previous one. Processing the death of a loved one means that you need to deal with change. And we know that people don't like change. It is quite a roller coaster. Some days might be better than others, but at least you are moving forward. So it now becomes the teacher's responsibility to be on the lookout for extreme behavioral changes. This is why it's so important that every teacher needs to get to know the learners in the classroom. By getting to know the learner's normal behavior, you would be able to pick up extreme deviations in their normal behavior. So when you notice these behavioral changes, don't remain silent about it. It is very important to report it to the school counselor or the principal, or much better, to the school-based support team. The school-based support team would then be able to arrange an intervention so that we can see whether this child is severely affected by the loss of one of the learners in the school. And then the last thing to consider. Every school should have an action plan for in case something like this happens. Every school needs to ensure that they are prepared for in case something like this happens. There's nothing worse than scrambling to figure out what you're going to do when this happens. Prevention is better than cure. It is much better to be prepared for the worst, even though we hope for the best. So I know many schools have got one or two educational psychologists or counselors that are on the staff, but there will definitely be educational psychologists that are employed by the local district. What I would suggest is that each school has a list of contact details of at least 10 to 15 educational psychologists or school guidance counselors that could be on call for instances like this. This isn't just good for instances like this where there's the death of a learner, but it would also assist in any trauma that could affect the school at large. Remember that trauma affects staff as well as learners. Don't only focus so much on the learners that you forget the emotional well-being of the staff members. What should also be in your action plan is a deadline for when activities at school will return to normal. Events like this are extremely disruptive. So maybe allow a week's grace period where if children have emotional outbursts or if there's disruption in the classroom, that it is okay. It could happen that something in the content that's being taught triggers the curiosity or the emotions of a learner, and that could then of course also disrupt the class. So allow some leeway in your teaching. But of course this can't go on indefinitely. In your action plan, decide on a time that the school's routine would return to normal. But it is very important for the school to resume their normal routine as soon as possible. So these were just 5 things that I thought we need to consider when we deal with death in a school. But remember, there are many more things to consider, and there are so many tips that you guys out there can share with the other teachers. So please use the comment section here or on Facebook or on any other social media platform. Remember, I would like to start a conversation about this because in that way we learn from each other. That brings us to the end of another episode. It's not a fluffy, nice one, but I think it's definitely something that we need to talk about. Remember, if you like what we do here, give this episode a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you would like to see all super teachers unite under one banner so that we can make a positive difference in each and every classroom. It is totally free to subscribe to this channel. You can just click on the button over here with the Super Teachers Unite logo and you will be prompted to subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to see the other episodes that we've posted on this channel, just click on one of the links over here and you will be directed to those videos. Until next time, I'm Francois and I am a super teacher.